guys. What's up?
Hi, everybody.
Sickboy's here again. We're having a really good time.
Hell yeah, we are.
We're finally making a video that's not last minute. We tried last time, and you guys don't even want to know. The last video that we did, there's a reason you haven't seen it, because it was like this huge file, and we tried all these programs to try and...
My computer failed us.
It was bad. It was bad. And then, like, when you finally did get it uploaded, it was only, like, 3 minutes of it. So we're actually, like, being decent with time and getting this done before the way to the airport. I want to talk about something that's really pertinent to the ED community.
Well, we've been talking about animal rights a lot in the past couple of days. Yeah. Animals are really important to you and to me.
Yeah, big time.
So, like what we've been talking about, we watched a couple different vegan live reading essays and some other things that were really good. And so today we're going to talk about vegetarian stuff.
Yeah, like vegan, vegetarian, and reasons why. The first thing I want to mention is the disgusting myth and hostility that one encounters in treatment. If you're vegan, we don't do that here, is the response you'll get. Or, you know, we don't do that. Like, because so many people with restrictive EDs will gravitate toward veganism because it's an excuse not to eat most things. I mean, it's sad, but that is true.
Well, and it's also true that somebody who already has a restrictive diet could potentially develop an eating disorder from some sort of stress, and so it could be two separate things that end up getting mixed together, and then, again, it would make it really hard for somebody to seek treatment for something like that if they thought they were going to have to eat dead animals.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that.
Me.
I saw that, and I could not believe it. Like, you're gonna force me to eat sentient beings.
I wouldn't do it.
Like,
I wouldn't be able to.
I'm sorry, no, that's inappropriate. But we do run into that a lot. And I do see the arguments on both sides. But one thing I want to do, you guys, there are a couple programs that do allow people to maintain a vegan diet. A lot will do vegetarian, but not many will do vegan. And I will, remind me, I gotta look that up and give you guys info, because I know several of us are just very sensitive souls that don't distinguish between pet animals and food animals, and you know.
And well, and I haven't eaten meat in
your story is so
well
awesome.
over 10 years, and I mean, I can't really see myself doing it for any other reason other than maybe some sort of survival thing. But even then, there's usually a lot of plants to eat if you're lost in the woods or something, you know.
Yeah, tell us about your family though, because your family was predominantly vegetarian, right?
Yeah, I've never seen my mother eat meat, and when I was a kid, she was okay with us eating whatever we wanted, as far as, like, you know, we had the choice to eat meat or not, but she didn't really cook it very often, and she made it very clear that the animals that were processed and made into meat for the store did not live nicely on they don't live on a little farm somewhere or anything. It's not pretty and cute like that. And
yeah.
we were always very aware of that. And I did go hunting and fishing a couple times when I was a kid. And I ate the fish that I caught. But when I got older, I just kind of realized that, like, you don't need to. I mean, when you go to a grocery store, there's, like,
plenty
you're at
Walmart,
of options. There's literally 1 million items in the store, and I just wouldn't pick corpses.
Yeah, really, seriously.
Oranges. I mean,
yeah, if you're a subsistence, if you're in a subsistence culture, or if you don't have a choice, it's one thing. But in places like the U.S., we have the convenience and liberty of a variety of foods to choose from.
That's true, and in most places it is pretty accessible to be able to be vegetarian. Like, there are exceptions where obviously sometimes there isn't really anywhere good to buy any food, you know, but I mean, when you have the, like, even, you know, I have enough social privilege that I can afford to go to a store and buy whatever I want, I prefer to, you know, buy things that nothing had to really die for it.
I should link to that lecture too.
You should. It's really good.
I learned so much stuff about, things I didn't know.
I'm not currently vegan. I do eat eggs and I do eat milk, but I'm very aware of what is going on.
Yeah.
And if I have the option of buying something that is from a local person and I know that the money is going to keep the animals happy and things, it's very different than factory farming. And I think,
oh man, yeah, that's the thing. Oh my god, it's so disgusting. And I'm not gonna sit here and like bash down meat eaters or go all PETA on your asses with pictures, but I'm just, you guys, it's bad. And it's fucked up that there's this hypocrisy of these animals are cute and deserve life and will do anything for it. Oh, but those animals, they're just meant to be food. It's just brainwashing and bullshit, you know?
Yeah, even as a kid, like, I don't know, I mean, I remember...
Yeah, like, this is what I was wanting you to share about, like...
Well, I know how to clean fish and other animals and things, and when you look at them, like, when you're doing that, like, you're very aware of how similar, like, even a fish, like, they still have veins and blood and all of the same things that we have, and I don't know, just to me, I didn't see why I would continue doing something like that if I didn't need to. And so I stopped eating meat when I was around like 10 or 11 years old. And a lot of people in my family don't eat it just because we have influences of Buddhism, and also it's pretty cheap to not buy meat.
Yeah.
You can buy a lot of beans to feed your whole family instead of chicken. It's cheaper, or
yeah, that was such a cool stat. Like, the two biggest hunger aid companies are vegan, and it's not because they care about the animals. I mean, they wrote back to the activist who sent a letter saying, thank you, this is awesome, And they wrote back saying, honestly, it's not political, it's not an ethos, but it's the cheapest way to nourish. And it's so true.
And it's also true that a lot of the grain and soybeans and things that are grown in this country are used for animal farming.
70 to 90%.
Right, and the soybeans alone
of all grains
can be used to feed a lot of people, and even the land that's used to factory farm these animals, because the way they're factory farmed, it doesn't, the land is no longer clean. It can't be used for anything other than that.
Right.
So factory farming animals is really a waste of resources, and it's not very ethical at all. The amount of food that is used to feed factory farmed animals that don't even live good lives to begin with, like, all of that could feed
everyone in the world.
Pretty much
we could wipe out world hunger if people stopped eating meat, like, straight up.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, after they realize that I don't eat meat, the first question they always ask is, like,
so what do you eat? Where do you get your protein?
Eat? Like, as if there's literally nothing else, and everything else is just garnishes or something. And I usually tell them, I'm like, well, I eat pretty much the same things as everyone else. I eat, like,
they're just veganized or vegetarian.
Yeah, they're just vegetarian. I eat chili and nachos and salad and,
we've been eating
all
some
sorts
good
of things.
Stuff, like,
yeah, last night we had fabulous Indian
food
and stir fries and things, and it's a different style of cooking, but it isn't too hard to not eat animals.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking too about how you don't like the taste of meat.
No, I
don't. So the imitation meats freak you out. Me, on the other hand, I think meat is delicious. I'm not going to lie about that, but ethically and morally, I can't justify that for something that tastes good. It's not worth what these animals go through.
I agree too, because I'm not going to say that I've never had, really great jerk chicken. Well, so we can both agree though that, like, lots of people eat meat because they like it or because it tastes good, and a lot of times they don't even really realize how those animals got to be on their little plate in front of them. And this country isn't, we're not a farming country. Like, if everybody had their own community farms where they farmed animals and
things, they were still connected to the cycle of it, or, I mean, the way this shit has been industrialized, you know, all of these industries, highly subsidized industries, don't want you to know what's going on. And what's going on is absolutely horrifying.
Well, it's very, very excessive, too.
Yeah.
Like, there are millions, literally millions of animals that are just bred to live in
billions,
horrible,
they said, even here.
Yeah, like horrible situations, and then they live their whole lives in these, you know, factories just to be processed, and then a lot of it just goes to waste. Like, it's an industry of mass producing dead animals that, I mean, half of them don't even get eaten, you know? I mean, or even more than that.
Yeah, like, I saw a statistic the other day that only like 50% of food actually makes it into someone's stomach. That's just horrifying.
And so the whole thing, I mean, it cheapens the life of animals, and it really disconnects people from how they even view what's food or what is ethical or
And there's so
anything.
much hypocrisy. I mean, if you guys have a cat or a dog that you love to death, and you know they feel pain, you know that they can communicate with you how they're doing, to think that other species who just happen to be delicious in our culture don't have those feelings and that awareness is totally willfully ignorant. You know, if you can watch this stuff and you can know where it comes from and still be okay with it, I'm not going to judge. However, you should know where the shit comes from, and then you have to decide for yourself, is it worth it for a yummy thing to eat? I mean,
and there are lots of other things to eat.
Yeah, we were just talking about this, like, faux meat products. I love them because I said before, I love the taste of meat. Corn is an awesome brand, QRN. There's that vegan one that makes the spare ribs. I forget the vegan gourmet or something.
Yeah, the vegan gourmet, and then like the whole Tofurkey company makes lots of things. And I mean, if you really,
Amy's,
if you still really love the taste of meat, there are plenty of things that are very, very similar.
And trust me, like corn, their chicken breasts, my husband eats, and he's a meat person.
Well, and I can even say that since I don't like meat, I know that they taste pretty close.
Yeah, that's
like,
why you won't eat them.
They're very similar.
Corn also makes, like, what do you call it, crumbles? And meatballs, and you can't tell. Some of them are that good now. A lot of them suck. Like, we'll be straight up about that. A lot of these, you know, vegetarian, vegan aimed products are fucking nasty.
But there's also plenty of mainstream meat products that aren't very good either. You know?
I know.
It's a trial and error thing. You just have to learn to cook a little differently.
I mean, think about it. Animals have stomachs like ours. They have lung intestines like ours. They have an ass that shits. They have a mouth that eats. They have ears that hear and eyes that see. Why is it so difficult to understand that their brains...
And they're aware of what's going on, and...
Yeah.
You know, and they suffer to be processed into food that somebody might not even eat, and the whole industry of just mass-producing dead
like
animals,
assembly line things.
Yeah, it's a big waste of resources, and
filtering nutrients rather than eating it directly. You're going to eat the animal that ate the nutrients. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there's the ethical reasons, there's moral reasons, there's, you know, just personal preference. There's a lot of reasons why, but for me, the number one thing is ethics. I just can't justify it.
And, you know, I've thought about it because there are a lot of different reasons why I don't eat meat, and I think that a big one really is the ethics of it.
Yeah.
That it's not something I need to do. Like, if I lived in a culture where it was, you know, something necessary, it would be a lot different.
Yeah, we have the luxury of having a choice, you guys. If you're watching this video, you have technology at your hands, and, like...
There is a good chance that you have the luxury of being able to buy whatever you want.
Exactly.
If you can't, obviously, like, no one's going to judge you for that. But if you do have the option of exploring eating some things that don't have meat in them, you should try. And
they're not all nasty, like...
No, vegetarian food doesn't have to be just a boiled potato and, like,
or, like,
vegetables
cooked till they're green slime. Like, if you grew up eating nasty veggies, all veggies aren't nasty. There's different ways to cook them.
Totally.
Yeah, there's a lot of angles, but we just felt like we should talk about this a bit, and... I'll try and put some links to good resources for you guys. There's a lecture that probably the most well-known activist has made. It's a lecture, and he presents so much information that I could never squeeze into a short video.
Yeah, Scary Ulovsky's, and he has a good sense of humor too.
He's not
awesome. He's not a stuck-up, condescending person or anything. He's just very literal, and
milk has pus. Eggs are hen periods.
It's true, and as long as people understand, like, really what's going on, I think that it's fine to make an informed choice on what you want to eat. Like, that's okay.
But be informed to make that choice,
And if you need help with recipes, there's vegweb.com, which is VEGWEB, and it's a massive website of pretty much anything you could want that does not contain any animals at all.
Yeah, PETA has some good stuff too.
Yeah, really good stuff. I mean, you can even potentially make nachos or a cheesecake.
Yeah, we just had nachos with almond cheese, and it blew my mind.
Almond cheese is the best vegan
good.
cheese.
Like, unbelievable. It's so good.
Yeah. It's a complex issue, and the only way to really be informed about it is to deal with the harsh parts of it and decide for yourself.
Yeah. Like, we're not looking down on people like we're superior or some crap. And yeah, there are vegetarians, vegans who do that. That's not our deal.
No.
But I do think people should be aware of what's going into their stomach, where it comes from and what kind of life it led if it was a living being.
And consider, too, I mean, most people wouldn't really be very inclined to have a cat burger. If you're like, here's a burger made of dogs. Nobody would want that. But they're fine with cows.
Because it's socially acceptable to eat these other animals doesn't mean... I mean, it's discrimination, it's speciesist, and it's...
Hypocritical.
Hypocritical, that's the word? I'm like, what's the fucking word?
And it's a little bit strange. I mean, it's strange that somebody could love their dog so much, but then, they can ignore the fact that hundreds of cows die slowly just for one burger. I mean...
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Like, the egg industry is probably the most cruel industry in the world, so if you're not eating meat, but you eat eggs, please consider buying the free range. Yes, they're more expensive, but the hell that those laying hens go through is not cool, and when they're done with their peak egg-laying years, they're sent to slaughter, too. Dairy, same thing. Those cows get sucked dry for a couple years, and then they go to the slaughterhouse too. So animal products are not necessarily cruelty-free, and most times are not. So just please, get it from places where these animals are not being tortured. Literally. Are you up to sharing about that factory that you were involved with?
Well, I can say that there was a factory in the Midwest that eventually was shut down because after myself and some other activists at the time got tours and information and footage about the place, they saw that the conditions of it were just so terrible that, I mean, people wouldn't even want to eat any of that stuff anyway when they saw how gross it was.
Yeah, people were getting sick from it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the animals are treated so poorly that you wouldn't even want to eat something that's been left in such a condition, you know? And, I mean, and a lot of people aren't aware that something like eggs would come from such an appalling place, you know?
That's why I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, and, I mean, people that work in these places...
They're abusers a lot of the time, like, literally.
Yeah, abusers. Many times they are. They don't consider them to be animals. They're nothing but products, and they throw them around as if they're products, literally, and then they get slaughtered. I mean, that doesn't taste very good.
Yeah, dude,
it doesn't sit well with me,
I know, right? Like, seriously. To all our PS posse, we love you very much. And we're going to enjoy our last night together.
And eat some awesome vegetarian food.
Yeah, boy.
All right.
All right, guys. We love you. Talk to you soon.
I do love you.
Bye.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't run out of room again. That would have sucked. I didn't. Woohoo!